Ju përshëndes të nderuar teleshikues, do të jemi bashkë në këtë hapësirë të intervistës për të diskutuar rreth një debati që po zhvillohet paktën prej më shumë se 2 muajsh në Shqipëri. Ka qenë pikërisht një transmetim televiziv dhe debati që është zhvilluar në këtë transmetim ku flitet pikërisht për kërkesat ose për le të themi për një lloj agjende që ka kërkuar të avancojë komuniteti LGBTQI këtu në Shqipëri rreth mënyrës se si duhet le të themi kështu duhet të quhen apo duhet të trajtohen ato që deri sot ne njohim si nëna dhe babai, por që për komunitetin ose sipas kërkesave të komunitetit LGBTQI, e udhës do të ishte që emërtimi i tyre të ishte në prindi 1 dhe prindi 2. Ky lloj debati që është zhvilluar, por edhe debati që ka gjeneruar më pas, ka çuar deri në një padi ose një ankesë që komuniteti LGBTQI ka depozituar pranë komisionerit të antidiscriminimit këtu në Shqipëri në adresë të pastorit të mirënjohur zotit Akil Pano. Por pikërisht ky lloj, le të themi, ky lloj konflikti, nëse mund të quajmë konflikti civil pa diskutim, konflikti verbal apo qoftë edhe avancimi i kërkesës drejt komisionerit, ka mbërritur në jehonën e vet deri në Shtetet e Bashkuara të Amerikës. Në Shtetet e Bashkuara të Amerikës ekziston edhe një organizatë e cila quhet Log Cabin. Log Cabin është një organizatë partnere e Partisë Republikane të Shteteve të Bashkuara të Amerikës, e cila mbron gjithashtu atje le të themi interesat e komunitetit gay në Shtetet e Bashkuara të Amerikës. Por për diskutuar se cili është qëndrimi, ose le të themi çfarë mendimi kanë rreth këtij, le të themi përplasjes e debati që ka mes komunitetit LGBTQI këtu në Shqipëri dhe pastorit Akil Pano, që ka kulmuar pikërisht me padina, po ankesën depozituar pranë komisionerit të diskriminimit, unë do të lidhem në këto momente drejt për së drejti me Shtetet e Bashkuara të Amerikës, atje ku më mirëpret zoti Charles Moran, i cili është antar i bordit të Log Cabin në Kaliforni. Mr. Moran, thank you for being with us in this interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, you recently became familiar with the case of Reverend Pano, who's been accused of discrimination against the LGBTQ community here in Albania. You read the complaint and his answers. Do you think that the complaint and about the discrimination stand, and what are your thoughts on the overall cases?
One of the things that I really appreciate about Pastor Pano is that he came out forthright and stated that he does not believe in discrimination or harm or violence against the LGBTQ community. This is one of the most important things you can do as a leader of a faith community, is let people know exactly where you stand and encourage people to live in a Christ-like manner, to be accepting and to be loving and to be tolerant of your neighbors, of your brothers and sisters in the faith and outside of that. Having read the complaints, the main thing that scares me is that the government is selectively choosing some of his language as it pertains to the expression of religion. As a pastor and a faith leader, he really does have the right to be able to interpret the Bible and the scripture to his best choosing, and to be able to talk about that freely in society. Having that ability to freely express your religion is such an important part of a democracy, and having that level of freedom of speech and expression is very, very critical. So reading the complaint that the minister has brought forward, or the commissioner has brought forward, concerns me, because to have a strong functioning democracy, you've got to have a respect for the freedom of religion and that free practice, as well as have laws in place to protect minorities in your community. So while I appreciate the government's desire to protect LGBTI individuals from discrimination, I'm very concerned that this might be happening at the expense of religious freedom and expression.
I see. But what is your comment about the renaming parents from mom and dad to parents 1 and parents 2? And is this a conversation that you are having in America as well?
It's absolutely a conversation we're having in America as well. I personally believe that renaming parent 1 and parent 2 is not that big of a problem. I, as a homosexual, if I chose to adopt with a partner, obviously it would not be mother and father, it would be father and father. So I understand the accommodation of changing parent 1 to parent 2, but it's a conversation that people are allowed to have in society about, there's still, places and organizations that won't let or facilitate adoption between homosexuals. And private organizations in America have the ability to discriminate if it's based on, religious freedom. Public entities don't. So that conversation is something that should be had. So while, again, I believe that, changing parent 1 to parent 2 is an okay practice and it's good public policy, the freedom of being able to discuss that must be protected. So Pastor Pano must be allowed to voice those concerns, as it should be, to protect him for religious freedom. I mean, he is being asked to his opinion, but providing your opinion should not be something that punishes you by law. Especially when it's something that comes from asking your faith perspective or your faith traditions perspective. I'm a committed Christian. My particular Christian denomination allows homosexual marriage and a homosexual adoption. His may or may not. It doesn't really matter what his belief is. He needs to be able to have the right to express this as part of his leadership of his congregation. So again, even though I disagree with him on the public policy, I still believe in his right to express it.
As we are talking about the freedom of speech, how important is the freedom of expression and religion to you? And even though most religions are against gay marriage and gay rights?
Freedom of religion and freedom of religious expression is part of what founded America. People being able to come here from another country to be able to practice the religion that they so chose in the way that they so wanted to is part of the miracle that is the American democracy, and I'm a huge champion and supporter of that. But not all religions necessarily condemn homosexuality. It's very much an interpretation. There are Muslims who support marriage equality between homosexuals, Christians, Jews. So there are elements of every major religion that support marriage equality, and none of the world's major religions actually call for any kind of discrimination or harm to come to homosexuals. So anybody who's claiming that Christianity opposes homosexuality or Islam opposes homosexuality, that's just not factually true and is subject to a lot of debate. But again, there has to be this respect for freedom and freedom of religion and self-expression, and that's the cornerstone of democracy. And Albania coming out from behind the Iron Curtain in a totalitarian leadership, it's so important that Albania embrace democracy and embrace freedom and freedom of expression and freedom of thought. We can't go back to a place where the government decides what is okay or permitted thought or speech and what's unpermitted or not good thought or speech. People have to have that right. And for a strong functioning democracy to flourish, it's so critical. And we see that in America, and it's so important abroad too.
But Mr. Moran, your organization works every day very hard to decriminalize homosexuality around the world. And yet, here you are defending Pastor Pano. Am I missing something here?
Absolutely not. We believe that the freedom of religion and the freedom of self-expression is intertwined in a larger belief of power to the individual, that individuals can make the best choice for themselves. As I mentioned before, none of the major world religions advocate for harm or violence. Judaism, Islam, Christianity. So unfortunately, there are still over 65 countries across the planet that criminalize homosexuality in some way, shape, or form. 9 of them, you can be put to death because of that. Because of being gay, that is just wholly wrong. So we at Log Cabin Republicans and Liberty Education Forum have worked with President Trump's administration in the past. We'll continue to work with the international bodies to bring attention to this. And as conservatives, and we are conservative people in the LGBT community, we believe in traditional family values, but that includes our families too. And it's important for people to understand that just because you're gay doesn't mean you believe in liberal orthodoxy about big government controlling your life and elimination of freedom for the sake of equality. We believe that these things can work together in unity. So I just want people to understand that just because you're gay doesn't mean that you believe in a larger agenda on progressive social issues. You can be conservative, you can believe in conservative social values in your society and still be supportive of equality for homosexuals. And that's what we advocate for, domestically and internationally.
Mm-hmm. And as we are here talking about this tiny conflict between Pastor Pano and the LGBT community here in Albania, what is your message to the Anti-Discrimination Commissioner of the Government of Albania regarding on this issue?
My message to the Albanian government and the commissioner here is that there is a need to protect freedom. You cannot protect one group of people while discriminating against another group of people. Mm-hmm. And in this situation, my message is consider the important role that religion needs to play in having these tough conversations and allowing the permitted speech to happen to foster cooperation and communication. Religion is not the enemy here, and the government should not be going after people who are expressing their religious beliefs. The pastor has said over and over again he does not believe in discrimination. He does not advocate for discrimination or harm against homosexuals. This is a case where there is a free-flow conversation about public policy and how religion and culture impact public policy. That should be the goal of the government, to provide the opportunity for people to have full self-expression, because for so long in Albania that was not allowed. And now it's the place where it is, and it needs to be protected, and it needs to be encouraged. Conversation is good, discrimination is bad. You can't limit people's free speech and free expression if you want to have a truly representative government.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Moran, one last thing. For the first time ever, we saw a political campaign with a gay pride coalition. It's hard to believe that it was the conservatives doing that and not the lefts and the Biden team. How is this possible?
For the first time in 2020, the Republican Party, the conservative party in America, had a gay pride coalition within the Republican Party and within that presidential campaign. And we talked to gays and lesbians in America about the shared values between Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Donald Trump had a long history of supporting the LGBTI community, supporting inclusion and equality when he was a businessman with his businesses, when he was a philanthropist, when he was working to help fund to find a cure for HIV/AIDS. And when he became president of the United States, he appointed high-level people in government who were openly gay, people like Ambassador Richard Grenell, who is the U.S. ambassador to Germany and then became the presidential special envoy for peace between Kosovo and Serbia. We saw so much opportunity for gays and lesbians to be included because, as I said, we are committed conservatives and committed Republicans. We just happen to be gay, and there is not an inherent conflict. So for the first time, we had a president and somebody like Donald Trump who supported marriage equality when he was elected, which was not the case with people like Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, Democrats before him. We had an opportunity to play and to talk to conservatives in America and say, if you believe in small government and individual responsibility and personal freedom and a strong national defense and a commitment to our American values, you can be a Republican and you can be gay, and there is a home for you. And we made that case and talked to people across America about that, both gay and straight.
Judge Moran of California, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts sharing with us. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
It was a very pleasure. Thank you. Mirë të nderuar televizionistë, kjo ka qenë bisedë që kam zhvilluar me zotin Charles Moran, që është antar i bordit të Log Cabin në Kaliforni, një organizatë partnere që mbron interesat gay brenda Partisë Republikane të Shteteve të Bashkuara të Amerikës, dhe diskutuan pikërisht rreth, le të themi kështu, konfliktit që ka pasur, konflikt verbal, institucional, po ta doni, që ka nisur ndërmjet komunitetit LGBT dhe pastorit Akil Pano rreth debatit që është zhvilluar dhe po zhvillohet të kohë për pretendimet që ka komuniteti LGBT për ndryshimin e emërtimeve nga nën dhe baba në prindi 1 dhe prindi 2. Unë do të kem mundësinë ta zgjeroj akoma te këtë, le të themi, mini konflikt pak më vonë në një intervistë që do të kem në studio edhe me vetë pastorin Akil Pano këtu në Syri Televizion.